Hi, this is Colorful Foresight where we intuitively connect from within. And it's woo woo time where we connect our woo woo into our mundane living. So, hi, this is Sylvia of Colorful Foresight, and I have Heather from Indigo Jaguar Intuitive Arts. And today's topic is pretty interesting. It's called It's Woo Woo, Even for Me. So, what does that
For
mean?
me.
Well, Jippy could be like woo-woo things or things of that intuitive nature. It doesn't mean we don't get surprised or like, for me, I still get like, wow, I can't believe that happened. One thing to talk about it and I go, yeah, I could believe that happened. I see it in my mind.
Experience it.
But when to experience it, it's a different story.
Yeah.
So, could I see that for myself? When people tell me things, I'm open, I'm smiling, but I have that part of me that's like, you know, this is back around 2015, and I would do a meditation thing. So my oneness trainer at the time would give you the wooden bead. It's very inexpensive. You get in a bag. So every time she would
Mhm.
initiate somebody, they get this wooden bead. But it's flimsy. It's like, held on by a string. So I'm like,
I
yeah,
know this
I'm like,
story. This is a great story, everybody. I love this.
so I kept breaking it. So, as nice as she was, she gave me a second one, but I broke it again. So when I asked for the third one, she's like, you could take the bead and put it in a string. I mean, she was nice, but you can't just keep
Mhm.
asking for this wooden bead. I mean, it does add up. So I knew that even if I put it together, that thing's gonna break. And to get a nice mala bead necklace, which is something I would invest in, but I had money challenge. So
Mhm.
I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna get a
Mhm.
strong mala bead. So one day I went to this um prayer thing. They have this thing called the golden light. So you pray to this. And in my mind, I'm praying, please help me to manifest a strong mala bead. Literally within 3 minutes, the person who's sitting next to me goes, I just want to let you know, Spirit, tell me I have this strong, she didn't say strong, I have this mala bead from Tibet, and I'm going to give it to you. I'm like, how the hell? So obviously, he was
Woo,
into me,
goosebumps.
yeah. And you know what's funny? I still kind of downplay it years later. And then I have to
Mhm.
keep getting reminded, like, still,
Yeah.
that was like not just a random thing. And a lot of time when I'm suffering, I have this Malabi to remind me, look at this, very strong, and it's so
Mhm.
pretty. So how did she
That's
know?
power.
She's intuitive. And also we were connecting with divine. We're in a sacred space. And also that's the woo-woo for me. That was like, holy moly. And
Mhm.
even to this day, there's a part of me that kind of dismiss it. I don't know why. Then a year later, somebody from India go, "Oh, I got you a Malabi galore." And I'm not like the best meditator or anything like that, but this always
Yeah.
reminds me that when I
That
kind of
spirit's
doubt,
listening. That
yeah,
this intuition is our connection, our direct connection to our higher self and to our it's a stigma. That and there's a lot of people in mainstream religions that are very open to this, that understand the difference. But being raised, we're taught that this is, we need a mediator. We're not supposed to have that direct connection, and if we do, then it's something that's unnatural. That's, could be very evil. You get that whole stigma, that whole fear base into there. And so a lot of us are all, raised initially from day one that we don't trust, our own intuition, and that we don't have the ability to soul level two. So in my 20s, it was new age. This is going back to the 90s. I'm a Gen Xer. Um, and I started really getting in touch with spirit, or nature based spirituality. And I was raised Catholic. And as I was graduating from high school, going into college, I started meeting new people, started learning ways of faith, spirituality. And so I became very, even more drawn, because I was as a child to, Native American beliefs with the land and the animals. I've always been that type of person. In my 20s, I was there one day, and there's a path so that you go down to the water on one section with the bridge, and you can look over part of the pond there. And then there's like a grassy path that goes around to the other side. And I was standing there on the path. I was going to start walking to my favorite tree because I love willows. And there was this big, huge willow. And I would sit, now today you can't because the water's all the way up to it now. But I willow with my books or my crystals, as I'm starting to learn. I had a quartz crystal. I was still very new at everything. And I would just sit there. I would journal because I was going through a lot with, a single mom. Relationship not so great, but that sanctuary was my sanctuary. And so that's where I would go to spend a couple hours. And so I was on the path, and I heard this high pitch, and I looked up, and it was like falcon or a hawk just going flying right over. And I was like, oh wow, because I was learning about animal medicine, especially with the Native American tradition, and I just gotten my Jamie Sam's medicine card, so I was very much into learning about the animals and the signs and the messages that they gave. And I was just like, oh, maybe if I follow where he's going, maybe I can get a feather. I would love to have a feather. And I put that intention out there, and I didn't know what intentions were or anything, but I just saw him flying. I have to have, because I had been on that path already previously, and I wanted to go back. And then there was nothing there. So I start, running along the path, trying to see if I can spot where, this beautiful bird went. And as I'm coming around the corner, boom, right in the middle of the path, right directly in the middle, sticking up straight out of the ground was my feather.
Wow.
And I just stopped dead in my tracks. Poor little thing's a little beat up after, 20 something, 25, 53 now, 25 years. Well, I think it was 25 years. This is going back to 98 ish. So, yeah, that was standing straight up. And I stopped in my tracks, and I was like, oh my God, thank you. It came directly off of him. There might have been spirit that might have manifested and put that in my kitty. So for me, that is a strong woo woo. That would be an example. Honored it yet, and I did see it perching in a tree. I couldn't get to it because it was over the pond and stuff, and then eventually disappeared, and I never saw it again.
Wow.
The times I went there before I left for Massachusetts and then to Arizona. So just coming around that corner, and then after saying, oh, I would love to have a feather from you as a gift, and that being straight there and right directly in the middle of the path, not a little bit more this way, not more that way, directly in the middle, standing straight up. So I knew definitely that was a gift, and that was a sign from
So the
spirit.
timing,
And I was so
that's what it
humbled
was.
by it.
It was the timing, like you were thinking about it, and then boom, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if I could manifest, a nice big summer wind, all the manifest, boom, hey, look at, there it is, right in the middle of the road. Thanks. No, but yeah. So for me, that's one of my woo-woo moments. I have several, and so that was the first one I wanted to share.
You have another one?
Because I always had that love for deer. Really couldn't understand why. They're just very gentle, very kind. They're loving. I mean, any animal I couldn't see, or understand harming. And so we were visiting my dad's friend's property one day. Mr. French had this huge, I don't know how many acres, but he had all this wildlife, all this woods and fields in the back of his farm. And my dad and I were following a trail one day, and I think I had to have been about 8 at the time. And as we were walking in the back, we scared out a herd of deer. And there was a fence, on the property. And the deer jumped. We saw them jump over. But next thing we know, we see something moving in the grass. And unfortunately, one of the deer didn't make it. It got caught. And it fell back to the ground. And we walked up to it. I start crying and bawling. My dad's like, okay, stay here. I have to go get, Mr. French. I'm like, okay, because I knew what they were going to have to do. They were going to have to put the deer down. And so my dad told me, don't go near it. Just,
Right.
did I listen to my papa? No. um, so as soon as my dad was out of sight, I got down on my knees in my lap. I got down. I went up to the deer, and I put her head. I'm pretty sure it was a female. There was no her head in my lap, and I stroked her gently, and I'm crying, because I know she's dying, and she died in my lap with her head in my lap. But the woo part of it all is that, and I proved it to a friend of mine one night in my late 20s. We were driving through these winding roads in the country where I lived at the time, or in the suburbs. And I started slowing down, and she's like, "Why are you slowing down?" And I told her, "Well, I told you, if I'm driving, whether night or day, sometimes if I start seeing a deer in my mind, or I see the word slow down." And she was just like, okay, whatever. So I'm starting to slow down. And not just more than a minute or so after I told her that, we came around the corner and there were like four of them right in the road. And I had to slow down, and her jaw just dropped, and she looked at me and she goes, "You weren't looking around." I said, "No, I told you, whenever, knock on wood." And I'm
Right.
very grateful that over and since that point and over the years, start to feel that I need to be aware. Sometimes I'll see one when I get that image or that impression. Um, a lot of times I will see one and I know that I have to slow down. I can say hi, or I need to, or they're in the process or getting ready to cross. I'll be like, no, be careful. No, go ahead. Making sure that no cars are coming around. And if I don't see one, I know that there has to be at least one in the woods. And I just send out the message, please be careful, you're by your road. So, but yeah, that was, she, and I said, no, I need to slow down. And right around that corner, as we're coming around, there were three or four of them in the road, and I had to kind of get them to get off the road.
I'm curious because sometimes, like when we share with others and we're having this experience, it's hard to believe it until you experience it for yourself. So, did you have that confidence at that point to go, "Oh yeah, this is gonna happen," and then when it showed up and your friend's like, "Oh my God," you like, "Yeah, I told you," or was like, "Oh my God, that even though I said that, I'm still in shock."
I'm still, oh my God, because it was just evidence again from spirit letting me know that, you know, she was, studying, being, studying paganism and Wicca and witchcraft and stuff. And so, I was surprised that her mind wasn't open much more, but she was just like, she's believe it, see it for some things. And I don't think she really took me seriously. Obviously, I don't think she did until we came directly around that next corner, and there they were in my headlights, a group of them. So and that's happened here too since I moved. I haven't seen a lot in the area anymore because there's just so much construction. Their habitat's being taken away from them left and right.
You better
So
email me if a deer comes out
yeah.
tomorrow or later today. You better go, "Oh my God." Okay. I love the timing part. It's all about the timing because when I share my woo woo, it was the timing too.
Mm-hmm.
This is
Life
the
can be
real
very.
stuff. This is
Yep.
real. This is real. This is the woo woo, even for us. So thank you